Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is NBL Overtime, all thanks to LD Mobile, in what has been a huge, really a massive 24 hours in the world of basketball, of course. Plenty to get into. Kevin Lisch, I'm going to say this off the top, might have been alluded to by our man Liam Santamaria a week ago, as I welcome you in. Liam, hello to you.
Hello.
Is that what you meant last week when you said some big news coming out of Sydney?
Well, yes, there was big news coming out of Sydney, and it dropped today. Kevin Lisch retiring, of course, and we farewell an absolute champion of the league and one of the nicest blokes ever to play in the NBL for sure.
Well, he's so nice. He took our phone call. He's going to be on the show in around 10 minutes' time, so looking forward to that. Homicide, welcome to you, my man.
How you doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Yeah, Kevin Lisch had a hell of a career, man. You know, MVP, Olympics, championship winning player. I mean, what more could you ask for in a career? And he's done it. And as you said, Liam, hell of a guy, great guy.
Hey, and Bryce Cotton mentioned the fact that, he hadn't really thought about playing for the Boomers until he realised, guys had played. Lisch was one of those guys, of course, played at Rio. So inspiring a new generation of naturalised Americans as hopefully Bryce Cotton's able to get to represent Australia sometime soon. All right, he's not too far away. The NBL has put out a statement today, though, and I'm going to start with you, Corey, of course. The protests right around the world on Saturday, the march here in Australia. And the NBL today put out a statement, and I'll paraphrase most of it and we can get into a discussion about it. But it starts with, the NBL is appalled by the recent events in the United States that have triggered along strong action around the world, including in Australia over the past weekend. We consider racism to be abhorrent and support the movement of bringing equality to all people. Larry Kessler goes on to speak about the NBL, and I quote, the NBL strongly condemns racism in any form, and we maintain a zero-tolerance approach to discrimination of any kind in our league. We embrace and respect the contribution made by all that participate in it and stand united with the African-American and Indigenous players in their hour of need and always. Goes on to say we aim to foster and celebrate diversity. Jeremy Loliga also quoted in the statement, which you can see at NBL, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media as well, nbl.com.au, makes mention Indigenous round that has started the last couple of years in the NBL as well. I know you did protest and march on Saturday, Homicide, so something, of course, you spoke so well of last week. What are your thoughts today?
I think the statements by Larry and Jeremy were well put. It also feels really good to know that, me as an African-American working out the country, working for a company and league that fully supports what's happening back at home and here, it means a lot to hear that come out. And I mean, I know behind the scenes that, they support everybody, especially the Indigenous and the African-American. So it's just good to hear, well put, that the statement was out. And as far as the protests last weekend were concerned, it was a great look. I got a lot of respect for Australia. They came out strong all over the country, and it was just great to see everybody was out in solidarity and just in full support.
Hey, I think, Lee, you had great words last week, and there's sort of been a little bit of a motto that, we may not understand, but we will stand. And I think that was a lot of what the protests and the march right around the world as well, all done in incredibly peaceful ways as well, which is such a huge part of what people are setting up for right now. But you and Liam Corey spoke so well last week about it, and this continues as time goes on, hopefully going to make a change. It should have happened many, many centuries ago, but unfortunately still fighting it today.
Yeah, it was great to see the level of support and, what happened over the course of the weekend, and the voices combined being heard. We spoke about it, I flagged it last week, that we're not immune to these issues here in this country, and that hopefully the momentum from what has happened in the States would flow across the seas and would have an impact in places like it does here. And there's a combination taking place right now of showing support and solidarity to that movement and cause in the States, but also, hey, let's look at into our own backyard and the issues that we have and that need to be addressed. So I'm really pleased to see that's starting to take place. But it's a journey. It needs to keep stepping forward. We saw, for instance, the NBL take a big step forward last year with the inaugural Indigenous round. And, it's about sort of continuing to progress that. And I applaud, the players that have been out and about and those that have been expressing their views on social media as well. I applaud Nate Jawai getting on the front foot and, being a leader in this regard. So, I think it's been a good week overall in terms of progressing these issues forward.
You always say it as well, Homer. So you've got to keep that energy, fam, when you're talking to us on NBL Overtime. And that's exactly what this situation is. There's so many people right now standing up and talking about it and marching and all the rest of it. But as Liam touched on, this is a long journey, and it's something that so many people have to continue to do to fight racial injustice.
Just like in anything in life, consistency is key. So as long as you're going to continue to be consistent, hopefully progress will come sooner than later.
And we are, of course, seeing in the NBL in recent times more of the African-Australian community as well. Plenty of Sudanese starting to get into the NBL and play, a huge prominent role in the NBL as well. So we, of course, think of them in this time as well. All right, hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. If you haven't seen the statement yet, as I touched on, nbl.com.au, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all through social media as well. All right, we have touched off the top. Kevin Lisch, champion, two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, superstar on and off the court, boomer at the Rio Olympics. He has today announced his retirement, and he's about to join us right after we look at a little bit of what he has done in a long, illustrious career here in the NBL.
Great dribble moves from Kevin Lisch. Check the ankles of Casey Prater. What a move by Kevin Lisch.
Do not poke the bear. Wagstaff down to 3-2 for the win. Yeah! Oh, baby! Lisch is delish.
All that experience and a whole lot of skill.
Kevin Lisch, Mr. Smooth. He waits, he stalks it with two left. He drops it.
Lisch for three. He's going. What a basket.
Great defense by Kevin Lisch, who is one of the better perimeter ball defenders.
Picked his pocket, did Kevin Lisch.
With a steal. Lisch, what play from the American. That is just what he does so well. Lisch on Jordan Jets, and Kevin Lisch wins. Lisch.
Oh, and one. Beautiful from Kevin Lisch.
Around the back, bit of flair from Lisch to Kadeem. And Lisch has found Newley again.
Great pass. You've got to have a timeout here if you're Rob Beveridge. Three. Delish. Absolutely delicious.
Big shot maker and big shot taker.
Oh, my goodness.
What a difference maker Kevin Lisch has been. Up against Beal, between the legs a couple of times. He got Beal on the floor, and then knocks down a three in his face.
He seizes the moment, steps up.
Lisch for three again. Fires for three. And the reigning MVP.
His first couple of shots, Kevin Lisch. At the other end, he finds the mark.
Around the corner, step back for the win. Kevin Lisch. That'll do it. The reigning MVP.
We're not going to see it anymore, and it's kind of flattening. 2020 has been a rough year, but we love Kevin Lisch. You might not necessarily have to, support the Wildcats or the Hawks or the Kings where he's done such his best work, but he has decided today to hang him up. What a career it has been. I touched on it earlier. Championships, MVPs, Grand Final MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, Olympics. And you know what? I've been told that I have to get straight to him now because I keep going through his resume. We're going to run out of time. I speak of Kev Lisch, mate, who joins us on Overtime. As a welcome in, mate, for the first time, congratulations on what has been a wonderful career.
Thanks a lot. No, it's great to be on the show. And I think the thing you realize is, I guess I can start to look back a little bit. You forget everything you've done and you remember all the people that have helped you and play a role, the relationships, everything. And that's the stuff that I've remembered in my one day of retirement so far, I guess.
well, hang on, just on that then. So where does NBL Overtime rank in some of the advice we would have given you in the last season and a half when it comes to getting the most out of yourself?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not very high, but
That's fair.
guys said it.
Kev, I want to echo everything that Cam just said in terms of, you said that you remember the people that you met. We remember how just bloody good you've been on the floor and the way you've gone about your business in terms of just being a picture of sportsmanship and, your work ethic and the like. Thank you for everything you've done in the NBL, first and foremost.
I appreciate that.
Talk us through the decision, mate. I mean, you had another year left on the contract. The ankle issues, obviously. Give us the timeline and the whole process of making the call.
Well, to be honest, it's kind of a long story, but pretty much since the halfway point of the season when I had started to see some surgeons, I pretty much knew the writing was on the wall, and that was going to be it. And then I saw another specialist before the finals. And I pretty much knew, that's it for sure. So, I told the guys before, I think it was before game 2, not that I wanted to, but I just thought, it's the right thing to do in that situation. And, in some ways I feel a bit blessed that I didn't have to make this decision myself and keep playing that, that's just how it is. Let's move on and let's put our competitive juices somewhere else. But it's never easy, and even as I talk about it now, it's like it makes it a bit more real that I think you're never really ready for.
I know all this.
Come on.
Listen, this is some great stuff we're talking about. I'm going to talk to you guys about this man. The first time I played against Kevin Lisch, right?
In Darwin at the preseason tournament, you were starting to talk to me. You're like, who's this? Do what you do. I remember very well.
All right. I'm going to talk about, I forgot about that. I was talking about regular season. The first regular season game I played against Kevin Lisch.
Oh, yeah.
We're in Townsville. Key possession, maybe a few seconds left in the fourth. I go and close out hard as hell. Kevin Lisch hits the corner 3 to win this game. I knew then this was a tough shot maker in clutch situations. All throughout your career, you have hit tough ass shots.
Mm.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Corey. I think that shot, I think they actually ripped up my airline ticket to send me back home to the States after I hit that. So it saved me my job a little. But I did enjoy that, taking those shots because, like I always said, most people forget the ones you miss, but usually the ones you make, they kind of stay at the forefront. And it's fun. You play a competitive sport. You want to be in those situations.
Now, hang on. Before you go further, I want to hear about the Darwin preseason when Homicide started to talk, and what was going through your mind?
What was going through my mind, that I moved halfway across the world, and I'm pretty much ignorant as to anything that's going on, and here's this guy talking at me, and I'm out of my comfort zone, and it was just a good little wake up call, like let's go. It's either eat or be eaten.
Yeah, that was that preseason, of course, Kev. Rob Beveridge loves to tell the story about how people were calling for you to be sent home. It took a couple of games for you to get your feet underneath you, and then obviously you go on to win the championship, grand final MVP, and set yourself up for the tremendous career you've had in the NBL. What are your memories of? I mean, literally, you said they tore the ticket up. What are your memories of how close that came and how that set the table for your NBL journey?
Well, I think the fortunate thing I had going on is that I was kind of naive and oblivious to it all. So I was out there just trying to find my feet, and I knew I could play. It just had to kind of click, and I was fortunate, to be in an organization that was patient with me, and I eventually, was able to find my feet, and the rest was kind of history. But I think my whole career is like that, and even to this day, I'm like, I have more to give. I could have gotten a lot. I can still get a lot better, but I'm going to use that and get better in other ways, not just as a basketball player now.
When did you feel Australia would be considered home for you? Like, at what point in your playing career? Because as imports, we live out of suitcase, man.
Yeah, that's right. I expected my first year in Perth to be just 1 year there and then go over to Europe. In fact, before I went to Perth, I was actually going to go to Austria and not Australia. So that was pretty crazy. But, like all of us, once you start dating an Aussie and then I married her, the writing's on the wall there, and it's like you put the handcuffs on.
And it led to an Olympics.
It did. That's, I always say that one of my highlights was not just the actual Olympics, but getting my citizenship was one of the highlights of my career. And Andre Lamanis was so helpful in that process. And then, getting to represent your adopted country was a pretty surreal thing. But honestly, I haven't really thought back on those things just yet. I've just been focused on, I guess, trying to transition a bit.
Now you have, sorry, Liam.
Go ahead, Corey.
Now, what the hell are you going to do after? Now it's done, right? It hasn't sunk in for real. But I know you got some little rascals over there. Are you ready?
That's right. I got 4 little ones, and I'll tell you what, I love being at home, and I also am looking forward to, starting with the Kings in a different capacity. And like I've told the Kings that, no job is too small for me. I just want to learn. I want to, develop my skills. And if that means doing some coffee runs, I'll do that too. So, but I'm fortunate to be able to still be healthy where hopefully once I rehab from this thing, I can be active with the kids again and then, find how I can help out in different areas of my life.
Kev, you said it's still sinking in. Just sitting here talking about it, it's still sort of sinking in a little bit for you that it's for real. What has this game meant to you?
I can't even begin to say what it's meant as far as a relationship standpoint with everyone I've met, people who coach against you, players who want to attack you and eat you up, to just be thankful that they helped you become a better player. And then for the people I've met along the way who have become my friends, the lessons you learn, you never forget those feelings of euphoria after a win and those feelings where you're down the trenches and you got to work through it with your teammates. And those are the things that I remember right now.
We have often a conversation about, where teams should go. And this is such a weird off season with coronavirus and everything going around when it comes to free agency and all pushback. But there's some uncertainty around the Kings. You definitely won't be there. Andrew Bogut, we're uncertain where his obviously career, if at all, is going to continue. Casper Ware opted out. Xavier Cooks opted out. Should we be concerned? You're there. You know kind of what's going on. The Kings going to be all right next year?
Oh, definitely. And the reason I say that is because, I think there's always question marks. There were question marks last year. Is Jay Sean, is he the right guy for us? Can the guys stay healthy? Well, Kevin couldn't stay healthy, but other guys could and stepped up. So when you have a coach like Will Weaver and an organization, Paul Smith, Chris Pongras, when they're in control and putting things together, I feel pretty comfortable about where it is. And fans and sports people always want to get ahead of themselves, and rightfully so. That's good. They're invested in it. But I say just be patient and let the Kings develop because we're going to be just fine.
You obviously won that title in 2010. Since then, which is the year or the experience that you feel like you came closest since? Was it 15, 16 was with the Hawks? Was it that Rio Olympics where you came oh so close? Was it last year with the Kings? Which one still eats at you?
Well, the one where I did get it was in Puerto Rico when we won the championship. I think, Corey, you played on the same team. I played. Yeah, so we won it there, first time in 35 years, and it was amazing experience. You know how they are over there. Just
my God.
Just unbelievable. And then, geez, I don't know, that Rio, that was probably the next closest as far as, getting a medal. Just you're one, bad call away from that. And then last year, I felt like, or this year, I felt like obviously we're really close, but just weird things happen.
How does a Puerto Rican championship party and celebration compare to a Perth Wildcats celebration party in 2010? Like, what are the differences?
Well, I think both are pretty crazy. I think there's less rules around the Puerto Rican celebration, but both of them were pretty cool in their own right.
Now, I want this on the record. I'm not suggesting that the Kings should move on Will Weaver, but is coaching something you're interested in?
At the moment, I haven't really thought of it too much because I'm too far. I love the individual development side of it in that thing. I haven't thought of it from a big coaching thing. I wouldn't be ready for that for about 10 years. That's for sure. But I'm also looking to, I know basketball fairly well, so I also want to kind of develop my skills in other areas as well. So it's just kind of a search that I've never really been through, but I have a lot of really good people around me.
I mean, that's great to hear. Sorry, Liam.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It's great to hear because, you've played the game your whole life. You're knowledgeable. You've carried yourself in the right way. You have great character. So it's only right for, you, if you want to seek out opportunity at the next level post basketball, which is working, behind the scenes or in the front office to do it, so that's something that I've obviously have an opportunity to be doing currently. And it's great to hear that that's something you want to do, especially in a league that you've had a lot of, success in. And I think naturally more guys need to start doing that. That's the next step, being close to the game outside of the hardwood.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you want to be, pigeonholed in any way. And frankly, I feel like I have a lot to give to basketball still, but there's so much more even that I have to learn. So that's what I'm looking forward to getting into.
How do you want to be remembered as a player, Kev? I mean, Corey spoke about, you as a big shot maker.
Man.
People on social media are sharing stories about your interactions with you off the court, and the impact you've had on them there. I personally will always remember sitting watching you play for the Hawks in that 15-16 season. I'm sitting on the couch next to Tommy Greer, and we're talking about how you're the best. The thing that we loved about you was that you were the best player in the game, but you were playing harder than everyone else. You played as hard every possession as the 12th man who was coming in for 30 seconds of action. And it was obviously MVP, Defensive Player of the Year that season. What do you hope people take from your career when they look back on it?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I guess a combination of everything. I would love to be seen as a fierce competitor, but I hope I respected people along the way and they remember me more for that. And there's going to be teammates who will say, yeah, you did remember. There's going to be times where I probably failed at that as well. I guess that's still, I guess it's not for me to say. I try to let my actions, speak for themselves, and wherever that gets me, it is what it is. So I'm happy with that.
I can tell you, it doesn't matter what the memory is that someone would have of Kevin Lisch. The fact is, we're all going to miss you. As basketball fans, if you're a Kings fan, as I said off the top, Wildcats, Hawks, or even a team that you support that you didn't play for, we're all going to miss you doing your thing on the court in 2021 and beyond, mate. But congratulations. It has been a career that's been so fun to watch. And the best thing about it, you're not lost to the game. You've still been in the NBL community, so we'll see you around, mate. And no doubt we'll have you on NBL Overtime again, mate. But again, congratulations, and we'll talk soon.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
88-89. They need the basket here and now. Can't get it. Wagstaff down to 3-2 for the win. Oh, my! Oh, baby! Lisch is delish.
They're shocked. The Crocs are stunned. Is there any time left on the clock? The Crocs wanted a timeout. They're going to appeal for another second, but look at the shot. Nothing but net from Lisch. He's earned his pay packet.
There it is. Game winner on Homicide, as Kevin Lisch just told us, pretty much saved his NBL career, and things would have been much different had that have rimmed out. And who knows? But there you go. It's the game winner right on there, and what a career he had.
And as I said, I knew this guy was a player when he hit that shot because I know I closed out hard, and that was the shot that pretty much gave them the lead and sealed that game, you know? So as a rookie, it's never easy, especially when a veteran who's talking a lot in your ear.
Unlike you.
Trying to mentally take you out of the game. So for him to hit that shot, I knew, yo, listen, this kid, he's tough.
How's the shot he hit in his first kind of seconds back with the King, back on the court with the Kings this season in Perth? They don't take Bogut. It's a couple of games away from the start of the postseason. And they're like, Kev, we got to get you back out there and get a couple of minutes into you. And it's like, jump ball, tip, Kev Lisch 3. Bam. I'm back.
He hit that game winner, or this sort of buzzer beater in that grand final game in 2010. He sort of stepped to the left. It was right on three-quarter time. I think it was three-quarter time, and I think we played the highlight before. So it's 10 years ago, so my memory is a tad fuzzy. But it was like at home. He's dominating this game. Like, it's just like, bang. I think he might have banked it. He had 45 in that game. He's a superstar. And I think you mentioned it. A better person off court than he was a player, which says something about how much of a great bloke he is.
For sure. Hit another walk-off game winner for the Kings on the right-hand side on the wing a couple of seasons ago with Drewy, and the love in Drewy's eyes when he would talk about Kevin Lisch, or he would embrace Kevin on the floor. I mean, he was just the most coachable guy. I mean, the guy you just love to have on your team as a coach, but also as a teammate. And you talk about him off the floor. I want to share this. This is a tweet from guy James Falero, Perth Wildcats super fan. So Cats had a signing session in the city once. Just Kev. Hardly anyone was there, so I went and started chatting to him. After a minute, he was asking me questions about what I do, where I work, etc. Such a genuinely nice person. And I think, there's lots of those kind of stories floating around because, as you say, Cam, an absolute all-time great on the floor, but an even better bloke.
At NBL on social media, Twitter, most probably where so many of these are coming through, fire us your favourite Kevin Lisch moment in a career that spanned a decade and had every accolade you can possibly win within our great league. All right, a man, I'll be honest, I don't read a great deal of Italian newspapers, so I can't understand them. But I found out this morning Isaac Fodu's going back to Italy and not coming to the NBL. And the first thought I had was Homicide's blueprint has just been scrunched up and pretty much thrown in the bin, my man. What did you make of this news?
Well, I'll tell you this. That is a man that, I'm just going to say he had just got offered a whole lot of money. And I wish it would have worked out, but, business as usual. Now we got to make sure we get Scotty Hobson. They can get Hobson, and they got to get Ty Webster. Look, there's still a few more signings that have to happen to put them in that position to get a championship. So we'll see how it all plays out.
The blueprint's just been torn up, though, hasn't it, Corey? The blueprint's
torn up yet.
I'll tell you what,
I just got to see if they going to Ty. Scotty Hop, and we got to figure out what we're going to do with the Fotu.
Hey, as much as we sort of joke about this, Liam, it is big news because Isaac Foto is, and I think you mentioned, or we spoke about it last year, that Melbourne might have been trying to entice him. Of course, he was over there in Italy. He's gone back to a new team into the new Italian year. And regardless, I'd almost guarantee that every NBL team at some point at least asked a question to the manager to see what the plans was. So as much as we joke, extremely talented player that we are missing out on again.
Yeah, look, and hopefully we see him in the NBL or back in the NBL at some stage. Obviously, started his career, had a bit of a development player stint with the New Zealand Breakers. So did Ty Webster before those guys have gone off. He went to the University of Hawaii. Ty Webster went, I think, Nebraska. And then they've been playing over in the States and in Europe, sorry. Big teams. Venezia is a really good team in Italy. Serie A, Euro Cup. They've been the Serie A champions a couple of times in recent years. So he is performing at a really, really high level. Hopefully we see him here soon. Ty Webster, Galatasaray last year. It's still a real long shot that he's with the Breakers next season. He's going to have good opportunities back in Europe. He's going to need to make that decision himself as well. But hopefully we see Fotu in the league at some point, because he'll be really, really good in this league.
So here's something I love, boys, is, and it happens in all sport, is that when players, and I'm sure Homicide, you would have dropped this line at some point. I don't watch that show. I don't read the papers. But players and coaches, they know exactly what's going on at all times, even though they don't watch anything. This is how I know people in the NBL watch this show, because this time last week, I was instructed we're going to have to give the 1 week period when it comes to announcing contract and options being taken up either by the individual or the club. And Liam said, let's give these clubs 1 week before I drop the knowledge. And what happens? They just start rolling out names. Craig Moeller, Majuk. Yeah, going back to the Kings and the Wildcats. Hey, people watching, Liam. People watching.
Well, it was nice to see some of those things come out there. And, those guys pick up those options. I'm still told I'm not quite able to go out with everything that's happened in the options space. We're waiting for some more stuff to come out. But, I feel like, there's, like I said last week, there's we previewed the option deadline, the club options, player options, mutual options. We sort of outlined what was most likely to happen or what should happen in each case. And that's pretty much how it's played out to my understanding. No major shakeups or surprises behind the scenes. And now teams are starting to look at the guys that they've got they can talk to. The returning college players. We've flagged Jack White last week. We spoke about my man Yanni Wetzel, who is hot property out there. Jack Salt.
Yanni. We're all jumped on board the Yanni Wetzel train here. We want to see him in the league from San Diego State to NBL All First Team. That's going to be a big 12 months for Yanni, but that's where we believe he's going to be.
Hey, you laugh now. Yanni Wetzel's going to be a very, very good player in this league.
I'm being legit. He actually...
I'm not on the Yanni Wetzel train.
I am. I actually believe that San Diego State would have won the national championship, and he was a huge part of that team.
The thing is, these are the guys teams are talking to right now and having a think about. Obviously, there's those other guys we spoke about, Drimmick and Froling, in the conversations. Yes. And it's all now, there's a lot of twiddling of thumbs going on where teams are and champing at the bit. And I spoke to Sunday Dech during the week. He is set to become very hot property in the free agent market. He said he wants to go down go through the process with the Hawks, give them the opportunity to find out who the owner is. He says, obviously I was on a 2-year contract with them. They did a great, they were great by me last year. I want to go through that process and see what's on offer there. But he is also going to be spoken to by a whole bunch of teams. The Perth Wildcats are going to want him back. There's a whole, the Sydney Kings now have a shooting guard spot to sort out. They're going to be looking at Sunday and a couple of other guys as well. He is going to be massive. And these guys that teams are not, by the rules, are not allowed to speak to right now. Everyone's just waiting for the opportunity to get going on these guys.
Hey, Homicide, I think we had this conversation, but I'll ask you again. Sunday Dech, of course, was a revelation last year. He was brilliant. And then, of course, with the situation that's happened at Illawarra, and financially, there's going to be probably some teams with bigger purse strings to be able to offer him. Perth and Sydney may well, in fact, be two of them. But he probably wouldn't start either of those sides. Now, I'm not saying he'll go back to not playing minutes, because he will be a valuable contributor to whatever team he goes to. But if you're Sunday Dech, because I think he would start at Illawarra again and have another opportunity. Like, you put yourself in Sunday Dech's shoes. Are you thinking play maybe a little less time to get some more money, or go back to the Hawks and have another year that might actually help me in 12 months' time?
Here's what I'm going to say about Sunday Dech, and I'm glad you brought this up.
Thank you.
Let's back up when Perth won the championship, the first one. Well, not the first one, but the one before this one. And we talked about him moving. And both of you guys said he shouldn't leave because of the championship culture. And I said, you guys are crazy.
He
should go somewhere and get playing time.
I said it's a big decision.
Yeah, and I actually said...
Come on, Corey. Let's keep it 100 on this Zoom call.
Look, and I'll be honest, I didn't think he'd play anywhere near as much when LaMelo Ball signed. They had Aaron Brooks. I'm like, he's not going to play anyway. That was my feeling, and he proved me wrong, and he was brilliant.
No, man. Don't go back and rewrite history. I said it's a big decision to leave a team like that.
All right, guys.
Right. Well,
Can I finish?
yes,
Go ahead.
please.
Thank you. Now, none of us knew
None.
how this thing was going to play out once Melo signed, Brooks signed, and it looked grim. Honestly, it looked grim. However, had that move not been made for him to go to Illawarra, injuries happen, which is unfortunate, but he got an opportunity, is my point. And what he did with the opportunity, opportunities come to many people, but it's what you do when you get the opportunity. End of the year, he averaged 10 points a game. And he was starting.
It was great.
That now gives him an opportunity to get to a quality club, play reserve minutes, or maybe even start. But I'm just going to say play reserve minutes, right? You go to a higher quality club, you're going to play reserve minutes. And he's going to get more money. People now saw him and saw the quality and the potential this guy has and the game that he has. Hell of a defender. He gave every point guard problems. Every elite point guard, he gave them problems because of his athletic ability, his length and strength, and defensive ability at that point guard spot. If I am him, I'm going to a quality team. Come off the bench. You get paid more, and you give yourself the best opportunity to win a championship. That's what I'm doing if I'm him. Because there's no more he can do at Illawarra to give him an opportunity to get to a quality club.
Man, I think Sunday Dech will be crazy to go somewhere and come off the bench this year. This is the time for him to take his game to the whole next level. He showcased it last season because of the injury. Nathan Sobey in Adelaide. Mitch Creek goes down. Sobey's a starter now, and he blossoms, and his career has gone on from there because that opportunity presented himself, and he showed, I am a starter in this league, and not only am I a starter now, my ceiling is I can be a real impact player, and he's become that. That's where Sunday Dech is right now. He can't go back to Perth and come off the bench. There are going to be teams that have, the Kings, Kevin Lisch has just retired. They need a starting shooting guard. The Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, they've just turned down the club option on Ben Madgen. They need a starting shooting guard. The Hawks are going to do everything in their that they possibly can to bring Sunday back to start. He's going to have opportunities to start. There's no way he can sign somewhere to come off the bench.
I think at some point he wants to play basketball. That's the reason he left 12 months ago. And the way that he plays his basketball, he's full of confidence. So being on the bench and being sort of, I guess, a lack of playing time in Perth didn't ever hurt his ability to believe in himself to be at this level and maybe beyond. And he proved that. And I just think rather than go back and be a reserve somewhere, stay at an opportunity. Like, he's a starter at Illawarra. There is no doubt come the start of the next NBL season, he's a starter at Illawarra. And I think that, maybe he'll back himself again if he signs a 12-month contract, 1-year deal to go to that next level. Don't know. But if I'm Sunday Dech, I'm going to back myself in again.
If he, for example, goes to Southeast Melbourne and is there starting two, they bring in an import one. So they bring back John Robertson, for example, who, if you've got Sunday Dech starting alongside him, you could do that. It works. He would average double figures and be he was Defensive Player of the Year nomination already last year. He'll be right up there potentially to be that guy next season in a spot like that. He needs to play minutes this year. And I'm hoping that his representatives are advising him such.
What other news getting around just quickly? You got anything for us?
Oh, geez. What else is going on?
Let's talk about the Cairns Convention Centre, though. Because there's a situation, delayed renovations, and now obviously there's still so much uncertainty about when the NBL season will actually start anyway. And we, as a statement from the league a couple of weeks ago, will be after the AFL and NRL Grand Final. So in ballpark, we're probably looking late November, early December. And that's, of course, granted on government decisions to allow fans and crowds back into stadiums. But there's a race against time to get this thing done, right? Which then opens up the possibility, boys. I'll ask you first, Homicide. Should they play games in Townsville? Back to your old haunt.
Croc Nation.
I don't know, man. That's like, going into your rival territory and going to play games there, will those fans support their rival club? Right? That's a big question.
Mm-hmm. But
rivalry is for real.
Mm-hmm, it is.
I think that you want to be somewhere in Cairns or around there that has a bigger venue somewhere. I don't know where the big venues are there, because you want to give that fan base an opportunity to cheer for their team.
This is a disaster.
It is.
This is a disaster. Off the back of last season, and the momentum that was created with that team last year, going one game away from a grand final appearance, that place was rocking game in, game out. We know it's been rocking year after year, but boy, the potential, let's put it that way, of bringing back Scott Machado and growing to love guys like Kawat Noy and Majuk Deng, and they love Nate Jawai, and Mike Kelly has that place humming.
Yep.
For this to happen right now. Now, obviously, what can we do? Like, it's the flow-on effects of the coronavirus and the factories that produce the parts that are required for the upgrade being shut down for a period of time. But here's hoping that the local government up there in Cairns can wrap their hands around what the Cairns basketball people are putting to them, adjust the schedule. My understanding is if they adjust the schedule a bit to get everything done inside the arena to make sure that is good to go, and then leave some other parts elsewhere that maybe can be done throughout at the end of the season, perhaps. I really hope they can work hand in hand with the Cairns basketball people to make that happen, because there is nowhere else in Cairns that is broadcast ready to play NBL games. And as you say, it would not be a good, it's not ideal to be going and playing your games in Brisbane or Townsville or something like that when the Cairns Taipans. So, man, like you said, Cam, the race against the clock is on, and here's hoping it can get done.
You mentioned the realigning of a schedule, possibly, obviously, from a construction point of view. Right now, the completion's February. That's the entire thing. So that is going to, of course, with the situation you just touched on, that's going to mean fully completed, won't be happening until you'd think towards the playoffs. You point off the top. The joint's always rocking, has always rocked. But last year with the momentum, and Mike Kelly spoke about it on this show a couple of weeks ago, just the feeling you could get from the fans and the fact that they were a really good team, headlined by the signing, not yet, but possible re-signing of Scotty Machado. And, of course, how cool that team was and so fun to watch. It must really be annoying, and the Taipans, I'm sure the Cairns Taipans organisation have been aware of this for a little while now, but there must be a fair bit of frustration attached to it on top of everything else that is happening as they try and bring back majority of the crew last year that was so great, so fun and so successful.
Yeah. So it's, it's game time right now for those guys behind the scenes, the members of the Cairns board, Troy Stone, who heads that up, and the people at Cairns Basketball to lobby, get the support from the community behind them to make this happen. Make sure at least that they can work hand in hand and get that playing area, the inside part of the arena, in tip-top shape, ready for the start of the season.
Homicide, you were a Croc. How much did you hate? What was the feeling of the rivalry for people who might not have lived in far north Queensland towards the Taipans team when you were there?
I mean, you're not supporting Taipans.
Okay, good.
If it was the other way around, you think the Taipans fans would support a Croc team playing in Cairns? Come on, that's not happening.
Well, it might have to, because I think that's still a bigger advantage to play in Townsville than to relocate to Brisbane for some rounds or the season and lose that whole fact of the travel to get up there does give them a little bit of an advantage. So to go to Brisbane, it sort of takes that away a little bit. Townsville, I get it. I get that situation, but from a situation of having an advantage, it might be better than actually basing themselves in Brisbane, where they're probably not as big a rivals, obviously.
But
it's a tough one.
Come to think of it, with what you're saying, there hasn't been any basketball in Townsville.
Mm-hmm.
So that just may be a better draw. Why Townsville supporters would come, because there hasn't been any basketball for the last 3 years? 3-4 years?
3 years to end of 2016 season, and I apologise to the Townsville crew if I've got the exact date wrong, but they were definitely playing in 2015-16. I think that might have been it.
2015, 2016.
Yeah. So we'll say 4 or 5 years now. Yeah, or 4 years at least.
So they actually probably would welcome and go.
Mm. No, it's a tough one though, and something that no doubt they don't want. All right, Emmett Naar's going to join Gibbo, an NBL podcast tomorrow. So Gibbo has a chat to Emmett Naar, who of course, not dissimilar to Sunday Dech, is in a situation of assessing his future, where it lies maybe at Illawarra or elsewhere. And then,
Let's go back to this, right? Let's just go back to this, fellas.
Well, Emmett Naar or Cairns?
Sunday.
Sunday, okay. What
You're
now?
saying to me that the starting 2 guard spots are open. It's not a shooting guard. Why would a team sign him at 2 and he's not a 2?
He's not a point guard.
All right, then. So let him be a backup. If he's not either or, he's better as a backup because for limited minutes, he can play both.
Okay, so bloody good at Illawarra.
I'm not starting him at a 2 on no team in this league. What he shot from the 3 last year? Not enough to start at a 2.
Yeah, he has the yep. So you say Sunday Dech and his management should say to those teams that are talking to him about coming in to start at the 2, thanks, but we're not exactly sure what he is yet or what I am yet. So I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go back to Perth and come off the bench.
I say he got to come off the bench somewhere for a quality club that's going to pay him more. They know he's quality. Everybody does not have to start. Mm-hmm. Guess what? What happened with Majuk Deng when the bright lights came on that season when we expected something from him?
He didn't play that well. But what
he didn't deliver.
What did he do last season?
He did not deliver when it was expected.
But hang on, he delivered last year.
As a starter.
I'm talking about the year before.
Yeah, I know you are, but I mean,
when we wanted it and we was okay, he could have potentially been MVP of this series. We expected it from day dot.
Yeah, he did. He had a disappointing year, and
But
last year, but he had a great year last year. So I don't think that's a great argument to use. You're right. Did he play well? And
we don't know what to expect. This was just an opportunity with that window. Do we know if he can do it from the beginning when it's expected at that 2?
I'm tipping if he stays at Illawarra, just as an example, he's going to back himself in to do what he did in the second half of last year with an opportunity from opening night.
I feel you, but what's the expectation at Illawarra? Is there any expectations there for them?
Well,
as of right now?
Well, right now, we just got to get
we don't know.
In and we start.
I'm not keeping myself in a situation that I don't know. I'm going to test this waters. I'm going to see who's going to give me the best situation, the best salary long-term, and then we figure it out from there. But me, I'd rather go to a quality club and come off the bench because I know I'm not a 2, and I know I'm not fully a 1. I'm a combo. So I'd rather help a quality club at both positions, lock in long-term, and get a bigger salary. That's what I'm doing.
All right. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Who is his management? We haven't given a management.
I don't know.
For a while. Remember Homicide was shouting out management every single Tuesday, and you were wearing hats.
It's the off season. I don't know.
Speaking of, just a big shout out to the Cottesloe Beach Hotel, guys. Thank you. It's still a bit chilly in Melbourne to use your towel, but it'll happen sooner rather than later. All right. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Big show, boys. We'll do it again next week. See ya.
Yes.